Select channels are online. Gonna throw on some music. Yeah, that'll work. All right. All right. Well, we got that. So we have interface creation control types, and then this one is gonna do the uploading of those things. Control types, prefixes, descriptions of all of those based on the local. Yep, we did this one. Control type name, control prefix, control description. Yep. Okay, so that one works. And then this one is go to detail, which we were working on. And then view model for the detail record, which is here. We have selected interface control type, so let's go back. This one says current interface control type, but the detail has selected. But why? Did I grab the wrong template? I think I might have grabbed the wrong template, because this says go to selected, and so this is detail. I need to grab the, not the, oh, I grabbed data grid. I need view model for detail. So we're going to grab the template here, not the data grid, the detail, yeah. And, alright, so we'll grab everything from the constructor down to the bottom. We'll grab this, and then we're basically just going to replace that. Alright, and we will give the same name here. Then we have interface change creation notifies. Alright, then we got delete and edit and view permissions. We got the current template. This is the template model. But we're going to replace that with the interface control type model. Yep, that one's done. Okay. And this one talks about templates. We're not going to give it templates. We got features, actions, models, views, and view models. And so we have this one that's current, says template. So we're going to replace everything that says template with interface control type. That's pretty easy. Okay, interface control type model, which is the current one. Interface control type actions, which is a new one. That's easy. Navigation, that's easy. Detail page, that has delete permission, edit permission, view permission. That's all fine. Delete record. Okay, that's going to use the actions and this one with the current record, and then it'll navigate to the list page or a new list page. Okay, then we have saving the record, which is an action we'll use, and then if user has permission to add records. I don't know why the add button, yeah, okay, so that's fine. Deal with that later. So essentially that's delete and save, and if user has permission to add. We probably need one for if user has permission to edit, but we'll deal with that later, I think. Okay, so can it build now? Alright, let's see. Does it build? No, it doesn't build. So parameter, alright, so control prefix, it's asking for an integer and then it's switching it to a varchar. This is not varchar. That's supposed to be value. Okay, save. Now does it build? Okay, and it looks like we're building. Maybe. Hey, we built. Alright, cool. So we can't get to that screen at all. So knowing that, let's close out. Let's go to our menu. So we got our menu, main menu, views, main menu view. Makes sense. All right. And then underneath SQL databases, we're going to want a new button. Okay. And this button is going to basically have the content of interface control types. Okay. Name, button, go to interface control type list. Makes sense. And then we have style, dynamic resource, button, general navigation. Okay, so we want this one, like so. All right, interface control types, and then we're going to give it a click. And we're going to do a code behind event here. Go to definition. Now in this one, we just said go to list, go to SQL servers. So back here, yeah, that's fine. We would basically write a new function for the same method, and everything that says SQL servers, interface control types. Actually, let's swap that with that and do select. Okay, so we have interface control type list view as a page. Page is a new page, and we're going to go to that page. That's pretty straightforward. Save that, close it, and then here is just VM, go to this. Save. Okay, so now I have a button that goes there. Alright, let's see. We can hit this, and this gets me to a list, and that list has nothing on it. So that's not helpful. Alright, well that's fine, but that means we can go to our interface control types, our list view, which looks like nothing. We'll go to our template list view, like this, which actually looks like something. We're going to grab everything from our template list view, actually data context included. Okay, and we're going to go over here. We're going to replace everything here. Now, that's not going to do us any good until we have a few things straightened out. Okay, so we're going to need the VM, which is going to be view models, like so. And then we have design height and design width, which is fine. And then we have interface control types list. Okay, simple enough. This then gets swapped out with interface control type list view model, and everything appears. Okay. Not a fan of how the green buttons showed up, but that's fine. And then we have a bunch of filters. Okay, so this one talks about member not found interface control type list view model, and that's probably because list view model has nothing in it. So we're going to go over to the template list view model, and we're going to copy everything out of here. Okay, so let's go to here, and template list model it is. Okay, so we'll take this view model, put that here, and then we want to make sure that this calls the iNotify property changed event. All right, very good. And then we can minimize that, and we can check on a few things. So this is the list page standard fields, which is the list page model. Yeah, these are the actions for template, but again, we're not going to do a template. So interface control type, place that in the current document. Very good. And because of that, we can switch it and say features dot interface control type. Okay, and we put that one in there. So that's actions and views, and this is a view model. So we might also need models. All right, so we got that. So we have our filters, we have our actions, we have our filters class, we have our filter tab visibility. Yep. Our filter toggle text. Yep. Our event to go to a record. Oh, this is the record ID. This is a jump to a record. Okay, makes sense so far. This is the integer field filter type. So these are the filter types displayed on the screen, which we don't have an integer field to filter. And then this one is the selected filter type. But I do think we could do all of this inside of filters and just have them in here, because we already have like the text, the name, and the control type description. So that's where all of these come in handy. So I think the filters is going to take care of these things. Because this is saying filter collections, but I do think they're in there. So let's just take this whole section, comment it out. Okay, we're going to ignore that for now. And then this says filters clear filters, but I want to say that inside of the filters font, we would have a method for clear filters, right? So if we did methods, public void clear filters. Okay. Filter value control prefix is null. Yeah. But I think we have to set it through this one, through the capital. Do that. Okay. And then filter value control type description. This also equals null. Okay. So those are the three. Yeah, we got clear filters. Okay. So that just means clear filters here is filter dot clear filters, which makes sense. And then populate filters says if integer filter types, we don't have any filter types. We want to populate filters, right? But I do think populate filters should be an event inside of the filters class as well. You know, just a thought. So let's comment this out too, because we're not doing anything with it at the moment. Okay, and then I don't think we're calling clear filters either, but so we have switch filter visibility, that takes care of that. Populate page options, so we have a data grid, which again is fine. Populate order by options, which is fine. Populate jump to, this says get simple list interface control type. I don't think we have that actually. That contained a definition. So if we go to the definition of actions, there's control type actions, go there. So I want to say that we had that SQL Server, that's navigation, go to detail, go to new. Okay, SQLite says get that or list this. I don't think we have a get simple list option, but I don't even think we have a simple list, simple model. Okay, yeah. So it's just list interface control type SQLite. Okay. So list interface control type SQLite, and that's supposed to return a Boolean, but we're not doing a Boolean, so we're just going to populate the jump to based on the actions, I guess. All right. So get data says this one, which is going to select from SQLite list page standard fields based on the filters. Okay, next page of data. All this makes sense so far. Previous page of data. Yep, that makes sense too. I do wonder if we can nest these events into the list page because we're using them there all the time. Go to record using ID. Okay, and then jump to selected record. Okay, so that makes sense, I guess. We can close the template. Now, the trick is going to be the code behind for the list view. I do believe has to be created too. So we're going to go list view, code behind for the template. And then up here, list view, code behind. Yep, thought so. All right, so if we go to our list view for here, we can grab all of these events. Go to this one, paste that there. Okay, and then we will realize quickly that we're missing the data context part of it. All right, so let's just take this top part, paste that over to this, and we can simply take this like so, and this like so. All right, now we have the data context. So we have this one, we then have button switch filter visibility, go to record ID, previous page, next page, button apply filter. But we have a function here that says populate filters, which I think we were doing to filters.populate filters. So let's go to here. Populate filters. Yeah. I think we just take that same function. We go into the filters here. So that's clear filters. And then this one is going to be populate filters. So this basically says, hey, if you already have these, then exit out of them. But that's not super helpful. Because if we wanted to force a refresh, I think it just was trying to prevent me from refreshing them all the time. And I think that's going to go with these collections here. So like we have the filter types for the interface, right? Control name, which is this one. So we're going to say if this count is 0, return. But I think we can phrase this better. So we would say if this is equal to 0, then do something. Like this. All right. And then at that point in time, it's going to try and make a list of filter types for this string stuff. And I think we have to do something similar for the other filter types as well, once I know what they are. Okay. But in order to populate filter types, those should be controlled from a list as well. All right. But, so anyway, we have that, which is fine. Not worried about it so much, but if we open up the list, I want to make sure the list populates, but the list won't populate because it's broken again. So, populate filters. Okay, very good. Now try. Nope, multiple errors. All right, so we have actions, go to new template, but we're not in that. So we're going to remove the word template and replace it with interface control type within the current document. All right, save. Okay, we have another one, interface control type view model. That can be removed as well. Save. So this is the view code behind that's using the view model section, which makes sense. Okay, let's run this again. We can go here, we can hit here, and it errors. No such table v interface control type. Alright, so SQLite says it doesn't like me because there's no such table. Well, that's fine. Let's double check on that. So it's correct, there's no view for this. So let's create one. Let's do v interface control type. Select from T interface control type. Right? So if we just check what columns are here in the table, we should be able to basically pull in all of the fields we need. So we would then do record added dot record added. Okay. And then we have record added by username. Record modified. All right. Record modified by username. Interface control type name. Control type description. Control prefix. Okay. And then we would say where is deleted equals 0. Pretty simple. So let's go ahead and confirm that. Hit OK. Now we have a view. Let's try again. And it says no such column decimal field. We shouldn't have a decimal field. So that doesn't make any sense. Let's grab the actions. Let's do a search decimal field. Take that off. Okay. There, decimal field. Which one's this in? Add interface control type SQLite. Well, we have control type name, description, and prefix, and that's essentially what we have. So we're going to lock that in up here. And we have values. No, that goes away. All right. Interface control type. Yep. Interface control type name, control description, prefix, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Where else do we see it? Another one here. This happens to be inside of the get command. We don't need that. Next. Oh, this one's another one. Get rid of that. Okay. Try again. Another one. Okay. Don't need that. All right. Save. Build. Will it work? It says it built. Good. Let's try running it again. Okay, we go here, we hit that, we see nothing. Why do we see nothing? Page to, okay, so we have no page to display. We essentially have nothing. So if we're looking at our data grid, that's right, we haven't built the data grid yet. So we need to build the data grid. Well, if we look down at our template data grid view, we can essentially copy the same content. So this is our view, go here, and paste over that. Okay. And that's pretty much that. So now in order to do this, and tie it into a view model to get the screen to refresh, we're going to need to tie in view models. Okay, data context is data grid view model. There we go. Now from here, this says we're looking at list. Nope. All right, so we want to go to the data grid. And we to go to the definition, and we have this class, which we're going to go over to the template view model for data grids. And basically, we're going to take everything from here all the way down, go into our data grid view model, and hit paste. Okay. And we'll just simply place that. Place that. All right, now we have our notification. And once again, we can take the word template, replace it with interface control type throughout. Okay, except for here, which we would have to take features interface control type. Okay, just like so. And this is a view model, so we have actions, we have models, which is fine. So we need to then take this one and replace that in the current document as well. So now our models are correct. Okay, we're selected, our actions, our navigation. All right, and those seem to function. So this is now our view model for our data grid. We can close the template data grid, and we have this data grid. And if we just simply take the word template, and we replace the word template with interface control type throughout the current document, that should give us what we want. Yep, it's no longer not liking us. So we just need to switch a couple of fields. So this one says font style, record ID style, and if I go to definition, it doesn't have that one. Why not? So template data grid, there. I don't see a font style or record ID style there either. Let's go to the current project, see where we can find out what record ID style means. Okay, that's record ID style is a font style within the model. All right. Based on if it is a local record only or not. All right, well, that kind of makes sense. But that just means I need to go into our model here. And I don't think I brought that one in. So we have record ID formatted is record only local. Okay, which has a get statement as well. And we do have an interface control type ID style. Oh, right, because record ID. Okay, so then we just replace. All right, not in the template model, but this one we do. So the view, everywhere where we put in record ID, we would have to do interface control type ID within the current document. Try that. Okay, so now that's that one. It's styled, and then this one. Yeah, so the styles isn't binding yet, but we'll figure that one out in time, I think. Okay, so it's not bound here either, and this is the data grid and interface creation, but that's new. Okay, so that's probably a new thing that I was working on, and it didn't quite finish, but that's fine. Ignoring the fact that we have record ID style there, we'll remove that. And this one is record added short date time. So this is record tracking. This is record tracking. And this one is text field. So text field is going to be replaced with interface control type name within the current document. Like so. All right. and we would say control type. All right, we don't have an integer field so much, but we can replace the words integer field with control type description within the current document. Okay, so then we can say description. All right, and we probably want one more field, which is our prefix. Prefix, yep. Control prefix, very good. Paste that. All right, so now we got control, type, description, and prefix. Very good. Save. So does that have any known errors? No. Let's try running it again. Of course there's errors now. Okay, so what did we get? What was the error? Interface control type data grid view does not contain a definition for mouse double click. Of course not, because the data grid view has a code behind that I haven't coded yet. So data grid view now has a code behind here, and we would simply take that. Yep. So everything inside of the word page, or the page thing, so that's from here to here, and we just hit paste, and then we take this one, paste that there. We have our data context, we have that, save. Now we have our reference completed. So let's try that again. Okay, control types, filter. All right, so it's not getting any data, but it's not telling me anything is wrong. But if we, okay, so there's no page to display, and it's not showing me any data. So my guess is that inside of our template list for our page to display, combo filter, filter toggle text, set switch, filter visibility. This one is list page standard fields. Okay. So do we have similar problem on our list page standard fields? So we go to our interface creation list here, go to this one, list page standard fields, list page options, go to definition. Let's pop that out. Okay, so list page standard fields, we had some references in here, and we had populate order by populate page options. So interface control type, data grid view, dataset 1, data grid, list page standards, add page display. So this should be called when the page loads, which is the interface control list. Okay, but there's no reference for the page load event. Why? Because there's actually, oh, it does say page loaded. So page loaded should get us there. Let's close out all tabs, try again. Okay. Here, try there. It did not actually get us there. It's probably because it's not up here. Okay, so we can go to properties, events, loaded. This is saying page loaded 1. We don't want page loaded 1. We just want page loaded. So we're going to say page loaded, save, try again. Okay. Now we got there. All right, we have a data grid, and we have a page, but we have no data in the page. Why don't we have any data in the page? Well, do we have any data in SQLite? We do. Okay, do we have any data in the view for SQLite? Okay, yeah, we do. There should be 5 records here, but we're not getting those records. So let's find out why. We got button apply filter, we got VW get data, go to definition, get data is here, select based on the list page standard fields, based on the filters. Okay, so we'll put a break here and go to definition, which is here. All right, and this is going to say select count of matching records from V interface control type, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And basically it says if the filters are not null, which they shouldn't be, and then this one, and then it tries to append some filter here. Okay, and then order by options, limit, offset. So essentially, if we get it to there, we should be able to see the total number of matching records, and then we should be able to read through the records. Okay, that makes sense. And these are the actions, and these are the views, and these are the view models, and that's okay. So it's all there. Why doesn't it show up? All right, so we got to there. Let's put a couple more breaks in here. We'll hit continue, continue, continue. All right, so these can come out. Continue. All right, that worked. Let's go to get data. All right, which we got here. Excellent. We got here. Excellent. So if we went to there, this page matching records, let's go to this one. Matching records is 5. So we do have 5 matching records. So let's check. All right, so we got to the closing point. So that part's good, but we don't see any records here. Why don't we see any records there? Well, let's double check. Data grid, view model, does have that, yeah. Data grid view is bound to the view model, yeah. Data grid record list interface control types, that part's fine. So we have our constructor for the view model, but what are we missing? So mouse double click, list interface control types, let's go to definition. Okay, we have interface control, we have notifications. That's all great. What am I missing in comparison? Because I know my template data grid works. All right, so my template data grid has a page loaded amount. This one doesn't have a page loaded amount. Loaded. Page loaded. Okay, so what does page loaded do? Page loaded gets the data. So when it appears the first time, it goes and it gets the data. What is this? Why does this say template again? This is not supposed to be a template. No. Interface control type. Data grid view model, just like that. Okay. So that one should work. And then this is features, that one's templates. Get rid of that. Save. Try again. All right. I think we're getting somewhere. First control types, we got to get data. Excellent. We know that this part's not working. Got that. We got this part. We know that that's working. We know that this is working. All right, and then this is supposed to clear the data set, and then it's supposed to close the connection. So now this contains 5 records, as it should. And it shows 5 records. Fantastic. It shows 5 records. Okay. And if we click on one, it then says something's wrong. VM was null. Okay, so let's close out of all that. So data grid view model and so this is templates view models, yes. But if we go to data grid, we have VM, data grid VM. We have this, which is data grid VM, VM is VM, yeah. So that's all fine. And we say go to selected, go to definition. Selected is selected interface control type. Okay, we'll go to definition, just here. Yep, selected interface control type. So the data grid, the selected item is the select, yeah. Okay, so that should make sense. That just means that when we try and go to something selected, when it's null, oh, you know what? The detail view model, I don't think is built up right. Because the detail view model over here, no. Okay, so that's not right. That's not wrong. Detail view model has notify property change, has a constructor, has all that fun stuff. But if we go to the detail view, okay, so the detail view is not built up. So it has nothing to go to. VM, view models. Right, we have that. Very good. And then we're going to want to go to the detail template view. No, not data grid view. Detail view. That's this one. Very good. So we have data context. We have a grid. All right. So this is our detail view. This is our interface creation view, and we're just going to paste. Okay. And of course, nothing can be shown until we correct a few things, such as interface detail view model. All right. So now we're getting somewhere. So now I think we just have to set up the templates again. Basically anything that had a template in it, template word or something like that, probably needs to be replaced. So yeah, member not found. So if we did template, replace that with interface control type, like so, within the current document, that should get a lot of the stuff working. And if we go to definition, then we get back here, this is the view code behind for the detail record, which has to be this one. Okay, templates, views, code behind record. And so that's what we're gonna grab, is we have that, save that, and then we can go to our actual detail code behind. Yep, and if we paste that just like so, and then we can replace the word template with interface control type within the current document. There we go. And if we just do features dot interface control type up there, then we should be good there. And it looks good to me. Okay, save, close, close all, save, try again. Okay. Go here. What happened? Oh, it had a break on get data, so we'll take that off. It has a break on close, we'll take that off. And it should get us the data, and it brings us here. All right, so interface control type detail view. So it's just a bad title, and the record ID and nothing is filled in correctly. So we're going to go to our detail view. So like if we went here, we went next to that label, it says current interface control type record ID, which then we can just replace record ID with interface control type ID within the document like so. Oh, yeah, no, that's not quite right. Text box read-only record ID. Okay, so we have that. We have a record, okay. ID, label ID number, yep. Rectangle, vertical separator, stack panel, fine. So interface control type says text field. We can do interface control type name. So we would want to replace everything that says text field with the interface control type name. And we can go to the next finding and we would place, and that's the last finding. Okay, makes sense, I guess. Except it's right there. No, select current document, place. Okay, so no more. There we go. So interface control type. So interface control type. All right, makes sense for me. We got basic data, got a stack panel. Now we don't have dates, numbers, or decimals. So a lot of this can basically just go away. So that label, that date picker, that label, that text box, that label, that text box, all of this is garbage. Okay. And if we took this, just pasted it again, and then replaced interface control type name with control type description within the selection. Okay. And then we have that part. And then if we took this same thing and pasted that in, instead of doing control type name, control type description, we would want to do control prefix within selection. Okay. And then we would say prefix, like so. And then for up here, this would be description, like so. All right, so we got that. We got name, type, description, and prefix. Now, I'm not a big fan of how these three columns look, so I'm just going to do with auto. All right, and that is nice and easy now. So one's a little bit smaller, and then we have our stack panel of controls. We have our change tracking in the background. I'm not sure that we'll get much use out of it just yet, but okay, what do we got? So that's not it. All right, so we have some information here, which is fine. And we have some tab styling that could occur a little bit better, but I'm not super worried about it. Okay. And yeah, we got record modified, text section title, text block, text modified by, label, text box, text is then modified by. Okay, so all of that's basically in order now. Right. So then we have a section for potential related permissions, if there are some. And we have another grid over here, which is not lined up either. We have an audit log, which again, we're not doing anything with at this point. But we have a bunch of information about this. And are we supposed to have a loaded event? We don't have anything that happens in the loaded event, so I'm not super worried about it. But let's just make sure that this works. Okay, we have our control types, and we can double click, and we go in, and we can see that we have a currency box. It's ID number 3. All right. I don't know that that's the one that I selected, and there's really no ID number present in the data grid. Why is there no ID number present in the data grid? Okay, that's this one. That's the first column in it. Okay, so its binding is set to record ID formatted, which I think it's supposed to be interface control type ID formatted. Okay, and that's fine. How do we get sample data to show? I don't know. All right, but let's just make sure that the ID number is present. There we go. And we have 5 records, and we can double click, and this one gives us that control, that ID. It doesn't let me edit until I hit the edit button. Then I can say some description here, save, yes, back, description, some description here. Okay, so that works rather well. Now I don't need a section for the summary, I don't think. And these two, okay, that didn't work. Oh, that's download. Okay. So there's no routine for download then. Gotcha. But this is, so this is upload and download. And then this is going to be apply filters. I don't like the light green color. I'm going to have to fix that. But this hides the filters, which is probably what all we need for this. And then this would be order results. Why are there 2 items in there? So if we go back, okay, now it's 1. We go main menu, we go back, still 1. But now I can't open it. Huh. Why can't I open it? That's super weird. It's not wanting to sort. Well, I definitely broke it. Saying I have zero records found. I wonder if when I downloaded it, did I clear? Shit, I did. Okay, that makes sense. That's annoying that I just did that to myself, but it makes sense on what I did. We'll be right back. back. Twitch says I have a viewer. I'm not sure. All right, well, if you're here, say hello, I guess. I have to let a dog out because otherwise he's just gonna keep barking. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we can do. It's a bit loud. Okay, let's see what we can get done. Alright, I'm up to 37. I think maybe if I keep interacting with people, I might actually get somewhere with this. Who knows? But, alright. So we have that part, we have the detail, we have that, and where we left off. That's right, we left off in the fact that I absolutely just ruined my local table because I deleted it. Go figure. Why did I delete it? How did I delete it? Well, that's super fun. So I have a function in here that's called download. And download went and cleared the local stuff before it uploaded, which is here. So clear SQLite, essentially. So clear SQLite basically said delete everything from the local thing, and there was no confirmation. Yeah. So luckily it's only 5 records. It's nothing terrible. It's annoying, but it's not terrible. But I need to be able to take the records when I am trying to download from it. I need to make sure that those records are not already or not local only. So I need some sort of a confirmation, essentially. So if we have the error handling utility, which is going to be over in utilities, pretty much. Yep, error handling. Okay. So we have if user wants to delete, if user wants to save changes. It's going to be very similar to if user wants to delete. So we're going to say local records found delete confirmation. Okay. Local records found confirm action. Okay, so that message is going to be local records, or sorry, just records were found that are not on the server. Downloading. No, not downloading. Are you sure you want to delete them? Okay, essentially what that is. So save, copy, and when we go to clear here, we have to know how many local records we have that are, yeah. So essentially here, we're going to say is if this is not true, all right, so then we're going to say error handling local records found delete confirmation. Yeah, so we're basically going to say if no, but we don't want to do that, return false. We didn't clear it. That's it. Okay, but we need to know how many of those local records we have before we can do that. So how do we know? What do we have? So this is actions, right? And actions should have a static collection of a list, right? Well, the list might be in memory, but it also would be a local thing. So could we, hey there. All right, good. Who's that? Baldovino the Fourth. All right, cool. Hi there. Doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm gonna look up your profile here. Oh, you got 18 followers. Cool. I think I'll follow too. So we have that one. I need to do a link query based on a condition. So link query based on a condition in C#. Well, we should be able to do a SQLite query, right? Because this is going to be something standard that we do. So that shouldn't be too difficult. If we went and we grabbed, close that, we can grab the templates, not utilities, but templates, template actions. All right. And if we wanted to detect how many local ones we had an upload model here, which then it was just doing local template is greater than 0, but the template is equal to 0. So it's going to be similar to this. And we would just do, we're going to paste that in, and we're going to call it public integer count local only. And that's going to be actually for SQLite. So this is going to come out of the SQL Server section, go up here to the SQLite section. That's DCC there. Okay, so this is count local only, template SQLite, okay. And then, so that's the procedure, but we don't have a procedure, so we get rid of that. SQLite command, SQLite data reader, observable collection records, I don't need that. How long? I don't know, 12 or 14 years, I guess. Different languages, different times. So most of my career was VBA and Access and Microsoft Office. It's not super exciting, but it's kind of what it was. So if we do select count from template, yeah, where template ID equals 0, local template ID equals 0. So we'll make sure that there's no zeros here by putting an is null around it. So we're going to say count all records as count local records from the template view where the ID, template ID, no, it's not template ID, I don't think. I think it's record ID. I think it's record ID. Let's just double check. SQLite. Okay, T template, columns. It is template ID. Interesting. I'm stupid. Alright. That's fine. We'll go with template ID, and local template is greater than 0, which is fine. So at this point in time, we're going to say RDR is execute reader while RDR read. Well, we don't need to do any of this. We're just going to keep probably this. And we're going to grab an integer. This is an action completed, but instead we're going to do integer. We'll call it local records. Yep. Now by default, local records is 0. You don't really have to set it, but it's there. Alright, so we got local records, convert to integer 32, and we're going to do this count local records. C#. Yeah, C# a pain. It might be good for game development. I'm not sure. I haven't done much game development, but I know that between syntax changes and stuff that I came from, it's super different. It's gonna sound stupid, but you just gotta like grab a project and just start working on it, like a little bit every day type of deal. There's some classes on Udemy. There's some tutorials you can find online, stuff like that. But you know, getting into it, doing it, and stepping through it, understanding that you're gonna suck at first, and just work through to get it working. You know, just start with some basic, and you know, Udemy's pretty good. Those are courses you don't have to buy like an individual course. You can buy a subscription for pretty cheap. Otherwise, Microsoft Virtual Academy is free. Khan Academy is free too. I don't particularly like C# because I came from Visual Basic, and it was much more forgiving than this. And this is case sensitive, and it pisses me off sometimes. So I guess that's not great advice. But all right, so does this work? We got count only, template, SQLite, count local only. So this is essentially what we want to make work, but we want to know how many records we have, and we have to be able to call this from somewhere. So let's grab the list. Okay, we'll do this. Where's my list? Why isn't it rendering? Ah, there it is. Okay. So we want it to be able to count something. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here to this one, and I'm going to put a stack panel back here. And then I'm going to put a button back here. And put this one here. Button, we'll give it a style of continue. Sure, yeah. No. Button, we'll call it general navigation. All right, because that's got no content. So then we can give it content and we can say check local record count. Okay, very good. And yeah, well, they're all a little bit different and sometimes they change on you, unfortunately. So, I mean, I'm just using it for, you know, kind of boring business apps, but they make money, so nothing wrong with that. Let's see if we grab a text block, okay, and then the text inside the text block, we're going to bind to the count. So when we have our actions and we run this inside of our list view model, we have our actions here. Go to definitions, and I want to say we can do a we have static collections and objects, methods, properties, and fields, utilities. Yeah, so this is non-static. So we can say private, integer, local record count, public, integer, local record count. Something that you'll, you know, if you're still here, yeah, something that will be interesting about anything coding is that there's always going to be 100 ways to solve something. And some people are going to tell you, you know, one way's wrong or that way's wrong or this way's wrong or whatever. And, you know, reality, if it works, you know, the only thing you're going to run into is, you know, is it maintainable? Is it easy to understand? Can you understand what you did a year from now? You know, type of deal. And if you can, and if it's maintainable, it's usable, it's fixable, you know, and then who's to say that's not a, you know, not a good thing? You solve the problem. You know, and it sounds goofy, but there's code that runs major things that's been around for 50+ years that people can look at it now and go, oh dear God. But, you know, you find it and you fix it, and you move on. So we have actions, we have local record count. All right, very good. So this is going to be that number, and this button, which we will name button check local record count, we will give a click event to do that. And we're going to go to the definition of that click event, and we're simply going to say, hey, actions, count local only. Yep. Okay, so this event is going to return an integer. So I have to basically say vm.actions.local record count equals that. Very good. So I'll drop an F9 on there, and now I'll run it. Keys work. Yeah, yes and no. You gotta not burn yourself out. You do that, you'll become completely uninterested in everything. And you just won't like it. You'll resent it. You won't want to do it. So keep yourself interested in it. Keep your, you know, working on that. All right, so I got to here, which is fine. We'll continue. All right, so logic error is null, syntax error. All right, so that's fine. So SQLite did not like that. SQLite did not like that at all. So let's go to our actions again. So, all right, so this, so we'll say template ID equals 0. Fresh eyes can find it, yeah, they can. You know what, there's been many a time where I have an intern or I have somebody who works for me and it's like, I can't get this to work. And I'll toss it at them just to have them bang their head against it sometimes. And every now and then they find a solution. You know, it's something that I hadn't thought of or whatever. All right, so we got this. Hey, look at that. It returned the number 0. Okay, so it returned the number 0. Is that accurate? So let's try template table, data table. We have template ID, yeah. And if we scroll over, we have local template ID. Okay, so we have a 9, which is fine. So let's insert a record. All right, this one is gonna be 0. And we're gonna do some field, blah, 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 local record. Okay, and this local template ID is 10. We're gonna accept that record and we're gonna refresh it. That one is now 0. So if I count my records, I should see a 1. I see a 1. Okay, and I have a 1 on the field. Excellent. Okay, so if I have a record and this one's a 1, I can apply my filter. That says I have 10 records. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but this one is not showing anything. Okay, so let's grab data grid. All right, so, oh, I changed to my template by mistake. Go figure. All right, so this one, yeah, that's what happens sometimes. I have too many files. So template record ID formatted is the binding there. Yep. Okay, so now it should show the record ID number. Okay, and that is 1 through 9. But I know I had 10 records. I know 10 records exist. So why don't I have 10 records? So template, vTemplate, if I grab this, the 10th record is present, but record added by username is not present. Is that my issue? I'm not sure if it would be. Date field, local record, okay. Check that, refresh it. So it's here. Just how to move a block and some easy physics. Yeah, well, for game design that works. Alright, so now I found my 0. So that's my local record only, which is fine. So that gives me an ID number of 0. And if I check on this, take my break out, it gives me the, hey, I have a record. Alright, so that's good. So when I hit download, it would try and overwrite local records only. But if I want to hit upload, then it should send local records to the server. Let's double check on upload and make sure that that works the way it's supposed to. So this is SQL server method, upload. Upload template server doesn't seem to have a function. So local template ID is greater than 0, template ID is 0. Let's do hold there. We got date, integers, and decimals. If it gets added, return. Okay. So it seems like I have the stuff together. Upload. But it didn't do anything. Alright, so let's grab our list. This button. Upload, upload, click. Ah, there we go. vm.actions.upload template. There we go. Save. Break that. Alright, let's try upload. Alright, so it got me here. Step into it. So how many records did it find? Can it get there? Continue. Alright, so it's got a SQL command, which is fine. So this is the upload. Yep. Let's try it with 2D. Yeah. Okay, so reader says there's, okay, visible field count is 9, depth is 0, results expanding the results view, empty view. Okay, so it's empty though. Huh. It should. Record ID is null. Yeah, okay. Alright, no current row. Yeah, I kind of suspected as much. But, wow, RDR read. Alright, so let's put the break here. Maybe put it here. Continue. Alright, we still have a 0 record. We're going to say go into set 0 record. Alright, and this record now has a record ID of 0, which we knew it was going to have a record ID of 0. This says upload. Okay. So that doesn't really matter. Record ID, adding. Okay, so then for each one in the new records, alright, so basically I want to go here. Alright, so it got me to here, template model records and new records. New records has 1 record in it, which is what I expected to see. And then it says I want to add said record. Okay, continue. Alright, so it says it got there. If I check on SQL Server, if I hit apply filters now, no, it's still got a record 0 here. It's not getting me new records. All right, let's check SQL Server. Maybe the issue is my SQL Server's not on. No, it would have errored. All right. Interesting. Template ID is 1002. Don't know why it would be 1002, but apparently it is. That's super strange. Okay. Doesn't explain why I'm not getting the record down again, but okay. So that's that problem. All right, let's close that. If we rerun it now, if I go to my SQLite and I check here, yeah, it will be. Okay, so I have a local record of 10. I have a new record of 0. You know what I probably didn't do is if we go to the definition of upload and we go to the add, go to definition, when we're using add, it tries to do that, and it basically says, executes the query. If add successful is 0, if add is successful, record ID equals template ID parsed back. I don't know why I'm parsing it back, but oh well, that's fine. So we'll put 2 breaks here, and the procedure says parameter ID, template ID is template ID. Yeah. And where's my parameter? Okay, so that's template add, which is here, which then in programmability is here. So we have insert by, yeah. So select template ID equals template ID, scope identity, add successful is 1, return message is nothing. Okay, so that makes sense. So it would have run and it would have sent out the ID number. At least it should have sent out the ID number. Record ID here is that part. All right, so I got 2 breaks. I'm going to try uploading those records again. Here, 0 through 9, upload, continue, continue. All right, add successful is 1. Okay, so 1003. Okay, if record ID does not equal 1003, or does not equal 0, it's completed. Very good. So now my record should have a record ID of 1003. Very good. And then it returns action completed, which is true. And it says we're good at this point. So we've uploaded the record. We have that part. And then we can say go and get data. But get data is only getting data from SQLite. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's right. We were okay. So then now that we know it's in the server, we would have to do that. But why is this still 0? Download the data. Alright, so 1002 and 1003, it downloaded it. It didn't clear the data set though. but it downloaded awful fast. Did it just add? I got 1002 and 1003, but during the download process, it added it to the in-memory collection. So download SQL Server, yeah. All right, so this one says clear template SQLite. Good definition, yeah, and it didn't do this. So, okay, so it would have cleared SQLite, but it didn't clear the collection. Right. Okay, so when we do the download, we need to do the count check. So count local. So we have, where is it? Okay, so clear template SQLite, and essentially in here, one place that this gets called yeah, definitely just gotta give it your best on that one. So if we do go to definition, so we'll do it here, and we'll say as if count locally greater than 0, error handling utility, local records found delete confirmation. If false. Okay. So that essentially says, hey, if there's records that are local only, then confirm that you want to delete them. If you don't want to delete them, leave. That's pretty simple confirmation there, but what broke about everything else? Not all code paths return a value. Really? This one does. Oh. Extra brace. Okay, that one works better. Alright, so we got that. So this is going to clear the local thing, which is fine. Now, the trick, of course, with download, where are you? Okay, so download the SQL Server, it does the clearing, and down here, when it does yeah, it should just put them in a list and run with it. So template filters, template select, clear. Yep. While it's reading, we make a model. Yeah. And then if add SQLite. Okay, yeah. My guess is this one is then adding it to the local list as well. Yeah, it is. Okay. So essentially, when we try and add it to SQLite, it adds it to the list. But when we're trying to download it, we need to clear the list first. All right. So we go to download here. We clear the list that way. And then we would need to say list templates dot clear. Okay. And at that point in time, everything is cleared. It opens the connection. It attempts the reader. The only thing I don't want to do is I don't want to clear it if the connection can't be made. All right. Well, I got a call about a sick person, so I get to go deal with that. I appreciate everybody sticking around. Hopefully, well, Davino, hopefully you got some advice there. And check out Mortis Angelus. Check out his channel. He was working on his game. Looked kind of interesting. So I will maybe go back online later tonight. If not, I'll be back on Monday. I'm gonna see if I can make heads or tails and get myself out of this corner I've coded myself into. So I will talk to you guys later.